Walter Moses Burton, the first black sheriff in the United States and a pioneering statesman. Walter Moses Burton holds the historic distinction of being the first black American elected as a sheriff in the United States and later serving as a Texas state senator. Walter Moses Burton was born in North Carolina around 1840, and his early years were marked by hardship. Although often referred to as being born into slavery, Burton's situation was more accurately that of an indentured servant, a term which refers to individuals bound by contract to work for a specified period in exchange for basic provisions or shelter. In the context of the time, indentured servitude was common, and many African Americans endured this status in southern states. Burton was brought to Fort Bend County, Texas, in 1850, where he would spend his early years under such an arrangement. During this time, Burton took great strides in acquiring literacy, despite the common restrictions placed on enslaved or indentured individuals. Learning to read and write was rare among copper-colored Americans at the time, and Burton's self-education would serve as a cornerstone of his future success. Following the Civil War and the Emancipation Proclamation, Burton's life began to take a radically different direction. He was granted his freedom, and with it, he seized the opportunity to build a prosperous future for himself. Burton accumulated large tracts of land and established himself as one of the most successful and influential copper-colored Americans in Fort Bend County. He not only became a landowner, but also a prominent leader in his community, committed to uplifting his people through education and political engagement. In 1869, Burton reached a historic milestone by being elected as the sheriff and tax collector of Fort Bend County, becoming the first copper-colored American to hold such an office in the United States. This was an extraordinary achievement during a time when many newly freed African Americans were still fighting for their rights and equality. Burton's election as sheriff was not just a personal triumph, but a victory for the broader community of copper-colored Americans who sought justice and representation in local government. As sheriff, Burton worked tirelessly to maintain law and order, ensuring that justice was administered fairly, especially crucial in a period where racial tensions were high and copper-colored Americans often faced systemic discrimination. His leadership in law enforcement instilled a sense of security and hope within the copper-colored American community, and his influence in this role helped establish him as a trusted figure. In addition to his law enforcement duties, Burton served as the president of the Fort Bend County Union League, a political organization dedicated to protecting the civil rights of copper-colored Americans, advocating for voting rights, and encouraging active civic participation. Through the Union League, Burton worked alongside other leaders to advance the cause of equality and political engagement for copper-colored Americans in Texas. Burton's political career reached another significant milestone when he was elected to the Texas Senate in 1873, representing District 15, which encompassed Fort Bend, Wharton, Waller, and Austin counties. His election to the Senate came at a time when the political landscape for copper-colored Americans was volatile, yet full of opportunity. Burton was a member of the Republican Party, which during the Reconstruction period was the party most aligned with advocating for the rights of copper-colored Americans. His election to the Senate was initially contested, but in February 1874, the Texas Senate confirmed his victory, allowing him to take office. Burton's time in the Senate was marked by his strong advocacy for education, civil rights, and economic opportunities for copper-colored Americans. One of his most notable achievements was his pivotal role in the establishment of Prairie View Normal School in 1876, which would later become Prairie View A&M University. Burton's efforts to secure funding for this institution provided copper-colored Americans with critical access to higher education and opportunities for future generations. Burton was re-elected to the Texas Senate in 1876 and served until 1882, remaining an influential figure within the Republican Party and in Texas politics. His legislative work focused on creating policies that ensured better educational opportunities, voting rights, and civil protections for copper-colored Americans. Even after leaving the Senate in 1882, Burton remained actively involved in both state and local politics. His work continued to resonate in the copper-colored community, and he remained a vocal advocate for copper-colored American rights and interests until his death in 1913. Burton's legacy is one of monumental importance. As the first copper-colored American to serve as sheriff and a state senator in Texas, he broke racial barriers at a time when opportunities for African Americans were severely limited. His advocacy for education, voting rights, and political representation paved the way for future generations of copper-colored Americans to engage in civic life. Today, his contributions are remembered and honored, particularly through the continued success of Prairie View A&M University, which stands as a lasting symbol of his vision for copper-colored American empowerment and advancement. In recent years, Walter Moses Burton has received renewed recognition for his contributions to Texas history and copper-colored American civil rights. On February 23, 2024, the Lucius D. Amerson Bridge Builder Foundation held the Trailblazers for Justice wreath-laying ceremony at Morton Cemetery in Richmond, Texas, honoring Burton's legacy as the first black sheriff in the United States. Additionally, on February 26, 2021, Fort Bend County officials unveiled a portrait of Burton at the historic county courthouse in Richmond, Texas, commemorating his service as both sheriff and state senator. These recent tributes reflect Burton's lasting impact on Texas politics and his role in advancing the rights of copper-colored Americans during the Reconstruction era.
Let me tell y'all something. Every test is a testimony. Every mess is a message. Period, Pooh. Hold on, Dad.
My bad.
Listen, honey. I ain't perfect, but sometimes I might have some good days, I might have some bad days. But let me tell you one thing. I refuse to give up. Okay, Daddy, I see you do my edges.
Thing, twin.
Daddy, you know I got this.
Let's get it.
I